Morning. I think we are live. Good morning, everybody, on this wonderful, wonderful Thursday morning. Yes, I know some of you are celebrating Thanksgiving, but a lot of you are not celebrating Thanksgiving. But for all of you who are celebrating Thanksgiving, let me just say happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I know that it's a time when families get together, and when it sort of takes me back to Christmas, just saying that one thing when families get together reminds me of the Christmases that we used to have in England, because we don't have Thanksgiving in England. We don't celebrate. We don't even, it's not even on our radar, to be honest. But, you know, when families get together and it's all wonderful and we see each other, we haven't maybe seen each other for ages and ages, but it's very often, certainly in my family, it was often the time when, you know, everybody's happy, then everybody's drinking, then everybody's arguing, then everybody's fighting, and then, you know, very often a fight would ensue between my brothers, and so it's a happy, happy family time. But it's also a time when we can get together and we can reminisce, and uh, I love I love the fact that, of course, I've been to several Thanksgiving dinners where everybody. I don't know if they do this in every household, but every time I've been to Thanksgiving dinner, we sort of begin by each person saying what they are thankful for. So, what am I thankful for? I'm going to start the ball rolling, and then I'd love it. Wait a minute, Chris, is there anybody there?
There is.
But because we never know, and it is Thanksgiving, and most of you are, in America anyway, cooking, whatever you're doing, you're slaving in a kitchen, and I actually rarely slave in a kitchen. I work hard in a kitchen, but I love that stuff. But anyway, so we're expecting that not many of you are going to be interested in watching this show, although you might be cooking and preparing and watching me at the same time. So my one little caution to all of you who are cooking right now is don't don't forget to season. Don't forget to season the food, because there's nothing worse than bland food. So little salt, little pepper, little spices, whatever it is. And it would be wonderful if those of you are preparing your Thanksgiving dinner, as you're talking to me, watching me, should I say, at the moment. Um, I'd love to know what you're having. Please don't tell me it's turkey. Because, well, that's our guess. I can remember Chris and Mike. I don't remember this, Chris, but I remember Chris and Mike coming for Thanksgiving. It was my sister's birthday, actually. It was my sister's 70th birthday, so it was a big deal. And my sister and her son were here, and Chris and Mike were here, and a few other people were here as well. But Chris, I remember Chris saying to me, "We're only coming if you have a turkey." So
We would have come anyway, but you got to throw it out there.
anyway, turkey would be the last thing I would want to eat or cook, although in England we have the turkey at Christmas. Although now we've started, my daughter and I, we have duck breast for Christmas with a delicious orange sauce of my own recipe. And what else do we have with it? We have roasted potatoes, roasted parsnips, and cauliflower puree. Does that not sound like an amazing Christmas dinner? It really is. And then I'll make a trifle, good old fashioned English trifle. Yeah, I usually leave the alcohol out for Reese. He's not quite old enough to appreciate the alcohol, but we do something like that for Christmas. Anyway, back to Thanksgiving, back to today, and back to, I have to say now what I'm grateful for. It's very hard to choose because I am so grateful for my life. I'm so grateful for my friends and friendships. I'm so grateful for what else am I grateful for? I'm so grateful for all of you. I'm so grateful for all of those of you who follow me, who are interested in my work. I'm grateful for my students and on. I mean, and don't think I deliberately left out my daughter and my grandson, because I'm more grateful for them than anything I could possibly imagine. And of course, and this is where we actually start the show, I'm grateful for my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who, as we're speaking, is laughing at me, is standing to my right side as usual. So, good morning, everybody. And good morning to Chris, and good morning to everyone, wherever you are. And I am grateful to be able to be sitting here on this Thanksgiving morning and maybe share a few minutes of your time being in your homes. And thank you for welcoming me in. Now, I did say last week that that Grey Eagle, we'd have a story from Grey Eagle, and let me tell you, I've been rooting around because there is one particular story. I'm going to tell you about it in a few minutes. However, before I tell you more about that, Chris, is there anybody there? And does anybody have anything to say?
Yes, Gary was on first this morning, Rosemary, saying,
Morning.
I'm thankful for having Rosemary as my friend. Eric is saying good morning. And Mark.
Ditto back to you, my lovely. Sorry, carry on, Chris.
Eric and Mark are saying good morning. Catalina saying happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Teresa's also saying good morning to everyone and happy Thanksgiving. Annika is like you, who is not a Native American, so it's the holidays a little bit off for her, but saying happy Thanksgiving. Lorraine is on. Kay from England saying hi, everyone. I'm just so thankful for my daughters.
Okay, I'm so glad you're on, because you will know the story that I'm going to tell. But anyway, carry on. You've probably not heard it for a long time, Kay. Carry on, Chris. Sorry.
She's saying, I'm just so thankful for my daughters, their families, and my grandsons, and of course, all my friends. Mark is in the kitchen making his mom's Thanksgiving meat stuffing with a dash of cinnamon, clove, onion, garlic, and potato.
Oh, lovely. That sounds good. That sounds very good.
Barb is so happy to be with you all on this special day. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Catalina's agreeing. She'll be having turkey for sure. And she misses.
I know so many people who love turkey. Anyway, carry on.
She misses her mom's homemade stuffing.
Yeah. Don't you know the recipe? You know, it's, I remember years ago, people would call me up, or my daughter would call me up, and she'd say, this was when she was in a sort of, let's say, 30s and moving into her 40s, and she'd call me up and she'd say, Mum, do you remember that thing that you used to make, and when I was at school and I had it at school, and then you used to make it, and I'm thinking, what is she talking about? And yeah, Jen, can you give me the recipe? There used to be so many things that I would make. And here's the problem when you're in the kitchen, and if you love cooking and so on, what I often do, and still do now, is I open the cupboard doors and I take a look inside, and whatever's inside is what I'm going to use to make whatever I'm going to make. And if I don't have the one ingredient that I would normally use, I will improvise. I'll make something else. And more often than not, it tastes good. But more often than not, when I come to make it the next time, I can't remember what I put in there. Which is why I actually, and then not only would my daughter do that, my friends would do that. You remember when we came for dinner and you made that whatever it was, and you blah blah, and can I have the recipe? And I didn't have the recipe because I would just make it. And then the next time I would make it, and it might be slightly different, or I might not have I might only have 2 eggs instead of 3, so I'd add something else and what have you. And anyway, so at some point when people started to ask questions and bombard me with, remember when I came last year and you made such and such or so and so, can I have the recipe for that? And I didn't have it. So I started then, and particularly for my daughter, it was really for my daughter. I started every time I would cook, I'd have a pen and a pad, and I would write down what I was putting in. And of course, if I didn't like it at the end of the day, I'd scratch it. But mostly, I would like what I was making. And then I started to build up these recipes, really just for me, and mostly for my daughter, because I thought, she's already asking me. I'm not dead yet, and she's asking me, how do you make this, or what do you do with that, and so on and so forth. And even a simple meringue, I used to make these. Used to, pre the hand, which is not that long ago. I make these beautiful meringue nests, big, beautiful meringue nests. And sometimes when I watch cooking shows on television and they have to do all sorts of weird things in order to make meringue, and I'm thinking, why would you do that? Let's keep it simple here. And so I would, so I started writing things down for Samantha. And as most of you know, as I started writing things down, then behold, suddenly I've got hundreds of recipes and a cookbook. Then eventually a cookbook, which is lovely. My cookbook is lovely. There are family photos in there. There are stories about family. So it's not just a cookbook. It's sort of like we reminisce about this recipe, or we have a little story about that recipe. So for all of you who are cooking now on Thanksgiving, and for all of you who remember how did grandma make this, or what have you, ask family members, ask whoever who has these recipes, and write them down, because I do think it's an amazing way of giving to and my daughter still today, she'll call me and she'll say, I've done this and this and this, what do I do now? And I'll say, okay, and you do this, this, this. And so now of course she has my cookbook, and so she knows to go to that, but she still likes to talk to me, and she'll say, I've got this, I went and bought this piece of fish, I don't know what to do with it, and I'll give her some ideas of what to do with it. And if it's a different idea than I've already had, I will write it down. So it's a way of passing our legacy on. And I think Thanksgiving is, when we all sit at the table, it's a way of us passing our stuff on. I remember my mother used to make this bread pudding, and she never counted anything that went in it. She just would, however many eggs she'd have, she'd crack them in. She'd throw milk in, never measure it, throw milk in, put some sugar in there, lots of different dried fruits would go in there, and it would always turn out amazingly good. We'd have these big thick wedges of bread pudding, very dark and rich and moist, and she'd shove it in a meatloaf pan and put it in the oven and leave it till it was brown on the top, sometimes black on the top, but it was still good. If you'd have said to her, can I have the recipe, she wouldn't have had the recipe. But I actually spent quite a bit of time at one point trying to recreate that recipe, and I think I managed to do it. I'm fairly sure it's not quite as good as my mother's, and that's saying something, because my mother was not a good cook. She would make a fruit cake. She was always proud of this fruit cake. I guess it took her a long time to make it, but it was the driest, most tastiest thing. But she would never really use any recipe. I never ever saw her go to a cookbook. It was just, she would make the dried fruit cake, the bread pudding, and she made what she called a summer pudding, which was really, really good. Anyway, so, and that's pretty much it. My sort of, from being 11, my father used to to do most of the cooking, and he was good. He was so good. He knew how to cook a piece of meat. Oh gosh, like you wouldn't believe. Anyway, and again without recipe books. So I just feel I mean, and Reese loves to cook with me, and one of our favorites to make is spaghetti, and or pasta, but not just spaghetti, but all different kinds of pasta strips and so on. And the last time we made it during the summer, I added a little something which I didn't add before, which was much more delicious. And you got to write it down. Otherwise, if you don't write it down, what you put in there and what you did, you can't recreate it, which is extremely frustrating. Right. Any more comments, Chris, because I'm going to look at these. I'm going to look at these. Yeah, what are they? I actually bought them for my daughter and my grandson, because when we read at night, we curl up in bed and we read, and their bedroom light is not so great. So I bought these thinking, these are amazing. Well, neither my grandson nor my daughter like them because they say the back hurts their neck. Personally, if it hurts your neck, it's worth getting a little cushion or a little scarf and wrapping it around. But for the manufacturers, if any manufacturers are watching, maybe a little tiny soft pillow at the back there might be a good idea. You're all wondering what they are, aren't you? Okay, I'm going to put them in my head like this. Now watch this. Wait a minute, let me see if I can do it. I don't know if you'll be able to see. I can't do it with I can't use my right hand very well. Hold on, let me see. Oh, it's all the way down there. Okay, all right, so you see? And
we're being blinded by the light, Rosemary.
And you can change them. See, you can change them, and they can go blue and slightly red and so on, and they're brilliant. They really shine a light. And I'm going to read you this story from Grey Eagle in a few minutes. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. I'm going to read, which is why I thought I'd wear these and show you. I think they're only about $20-some or something. They're very cheap and easy. And I can lie in bed with these, and maybe I've got more fat on my neck than my grandson does, but I think they're brilliant. Absolutely a brilliant idea. And when I'm playing the piano, if I need a little more light, I use them and put them on. You can use them for all sorts of things. Anyway, that's that. Any other comments or questions before I go into?
Yeah, we've got a few. Annika says, I'm grateful for many things: my children, my family, my work, for not having many worries, and for having had the love of my life. Catalina says, I'm grateful for health, family, job, food in the fridge. Cheryl says, I am just grateful, period.
I like that. Me too.
Barb says, we are all grateful for you, Rosemary, Chris, and Grey Eagle.
That's so nice of you. Thank you.
Arit says, hi, Rosemary. We talked. Hug my husband and my dad. I always think of them. Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Cheryl says, really, anyone can celebrate Thanksgiving because that's what it is, a day of gratitude and reflecting.
Right.
Lorraine says, I just finished making my mom's buttery sweet potatoes with brown sugar and syrup, ready for oven. Next in, green bean casserole.
All right. And yes, green bean casserole is a thing, isn't it?
It is.
I never ever had it before I came to the States. It's still bemused me, I have to tell you. But it is a thing, and I know that people love it.
Wayne says, hope all is well. Is there any way you can talk to my grandmother, Ina, for me? I'm worried about her.
Well, Grey Eagle has his hand on my shoulder and tells you not to worry. So I think everything is fine. I think she's good and everything is fine. But I love the fact that you worry about her and think of her, and I love that fact. I love the fact that you're close enough to someone and care enough about someone when it tells a lot about you. Carry on, Chris.
Not Mike, Mark says, I am thankful my mom and dad gave me life and raised me to be their number 8 of 11 sons.
Wow, 11 kids. That's a lot of kids.
Lorraine says she loves bread pudding. Caliphonic says, good morning, Rosemary, Chris, Grey Eagle, and everyone. I'm grateful for having health, food, and a place to live with my hubby, and my toddler boy is almost 4, and I enjoy every day. Happy Thanksgiving all.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving to you too. I love that. Keep going.
Eric says, grateful and much thanks for the home message. Process is almost complete.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
That's it for now.
Very, very excited for you. Very excited for you. Right. So we promised a story. This is actually a story. I'm going to read it to you. It's fairly long. It's on an old, I do have it on my iPad, but I'm actually using my iPad. It occurred to me when I found it, oh God, I can't do the show and use the iPad. My computer is not working properly, which is why I'm using the iPad. But anyway, so I'm going to read it to you. So if I stumble, this is hence these. If I stumble, you have to put up with me. But this story was given to me a long, long time ago, and it's a story from Grey Eagle, and it is about, and okay, I'm sure you remember this. I'm sure you've not heard it for a long time, but it's a story about an eagle and a small brown bird. The eagle, of course, is Grey Eagle, and the way that he told this story to me, and it's in his words, and of course I'm writing it down as I'm listening to it, but it's definitely his story to me, and it describes the process of our journey, his and mine, and it describes the process of how, you know, we are all these little tiny human beings living on this earth, and we we scurry around and we get on with our lives, and we're so involved in our lives because some of us are having struggles of one sort or another. Some of us are enjoying the joyful times, but the truth is that with our population on this earth, so many of us, we forget to look up. We forget to listen. We It drives me crazy when I see the amount of people walking down the street with their earplugs in, listening to their iPods, listening to music, listening to whatever it is that they're listening to, because the universe holds so many secrets and so many whispers are around, and so many things that we need to look up to and to recognize. But with our technology, especially in this day and age, with our technology, we we don't look up. We forget to look up. So we're all these, as we could describe the human race, we are all these beautiful little brown birds scurrying around, pecking at the ground, trying to figure out where we're going, trying to figure out what we're doing, and we so rarely look up. And often when we do look up and we see this, maybe a glimpse of light, or we see a glimpse of the spirit world, or we see a glimpse of whatever it is that is there to see, that those things that surround us, we marvel for a moment and we're excited for a moment in time, and then we go back to scurrying around and pecking on the ground. So Grey Eagle wrote this story. All I did was write it down. It's got nothing to do with me. This is from him. And I have, from time to time, given this story to my students as gifts. It's a great gift for Christmas. It's a great gift Thanksgiving. So this is a gift to all of you. So I'm hoping you're going to put up with me, because I'm going to put my glasses on, I'm going to put my light on, and I'm going to read this to you. I really should record it actually, but then I'm going to read this to you, and I hope I don't make a muck of it. And if I do, well, there you go. But this is a gift to all of you from me, because it's my story. It was given to me. I'm sharing it with you, but this is sort of from Grey Eagle, describing the process that goes on. I hope I'm not blinding you guys. I'm going to put it down there.
You're okay.
Are you boy okay there?
You're okay.
So this is how this story came about. Grey Eagle giving me this story, which was an incredibly special time for me. He gave this to me. It was very meaningful to me. I just would like you to just enjoy it and just let it help you through your wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving Day today. So here we go. Okay, so the song. Once upon a time, in the land of make-believe, there was a tall tree, taller than any other tree in the whole wide world. There were lots of branches on this tree and lots of green leaves. Anyone standing at the bottom of this tree looking up would never be able to see the top branch, nor would they see the large bird who perched proud and strong at the highest point of the tree. This bird, an eagle, a golden and shimmering and bright bird, was the wisest of birds. And as he looked from his vantage point, he could see not only across his land, but across many, many oceans leading to other lands. He knew all about these lands, as he had stretched his wings many times to fly high and wide in search of knowledge. On his journeys, he learned many things and carefully stored his discoveries, becoming wiser and wiser in his growing awareness. On the lowest branch of this, the tallest tree in the whole wide world, perched very precariously a small brown bird, so small that he was hardly noticeable at all until, that is, he sang. But when he sang in a voice sweet and clear, the branches danced gently to the sound of his music. The eagle, whose name was Eagle, would gaze down from his great height at the top of this, the tallest tree in the whole wide world, and listen to the sweet but often melancholy song of the small brown bird, and would wonder how much longer he would have to wait before the small brown bird lifted its head from the ground below to see the tree above him and perhaps the higher things in life. Eagle would smile, the smile of a wise old bird, knowing that only time and patience would give him his answer. The small brown bird oblivious to all around him, would hop down from the lowest branch of the tallest tree in the whole wide world, and he would scratch the ground looking for food, never going too far from the safety of his perch, lonely and lost in his own sadness and pain, the pain that comes from the fear of just being. He would sit on his sheltered place and sing his joyless song, unaware that anyone could hear him or that anyone might care. Then, one day, Eagle knew it was the right day. The small brown bird began his song, and as usual, when something startled him, so much so that he nearly fell from the lowest branch of the tallest tree in the world. For the first time ever in his life, he lifted his head, cocking it to one side as he listened. The sound he heard seemed to come from far away and high above him, faint at first, but persistent as a strong wind whispering through the leaves which grew on the tallest tree in the whole world. And the sound grew louder, and the voice of the eagle, who perched on the highest point at the top of the tallest tree in the whole world, echoed down through the leaves of the trees and reached the ears of the small brown bird. Eagle's song, unlike that of the small brown bird, was not only the most melodious song in the whole wide world, but was joyful and blessed, and it spoke of so many truths, and just trusting in the land the and just sorry and just trusting in the land of the small brown bird, but of many many lands, and it spoke of love and light and life. And through this song, Eagle called out the small brown bird, reach up, reach out, come closer and hear my music. As the small brown bird listened, a strange thing happened. Sitting as always on the lowest branch of the tallest tree in the whole wide world, he felt a stirring in his heart, and a small light appeared somewhere in the recess of his mind. The light grew, and for the first time the small brown bird saw clearly the branches of the tree growing straight and strong above him. Reach out, reach up, come closer and hear my music, called the eagle, his light shining down through the branches. The small brown bird, who had sat for so long on the lowest branch of the tallest tree in the whole wide world, was suddenly no longer afraid, and he reached up and he reached out and heard the eagle's music. The time was right, and in the hearing of the music, a miracle happened. Slowly at first, and shakily, the wings of the small brown bird fluttered, and the music grew louder and sweeter, until at last the wings of the small brown bird stretched wide. With hope in his heart and with ease, the small brown bird, brilliant, lifted his wings and flew up to the next branch of the tallest tree in the whole wide world. And there he perched, unsteadily at first, but with his head up and his eyes and ears alert, singing his song. But this time he sang a song of joy. It was the most melodious song in the whole wide world, a song of love and of trusting and truths and of many lambs. It was the eagle's song. Soon they sang together, the golden eagle and the small brown bird, and the sweet music they made rang out through the forest in which the tallest tree in the whole wide world stood. Other birds came from far and wide to stand at the foot of the tallest tree in the whole wide world to listen. They gazed up into the branches but could only see the small brown bird. As the eagle sat far, far too high for them to notice. Some of the birds called out to the small brown bird, "Teach us, teach us, teach us your song. Let us share your music." The small brown bird smiled, the smile of a wise brown bird, knowing that time and patience would give the answer. Since that time, many birds have hopped from the ground to sit on the lowest branch of the tallest tree in the world to listen to the small brown bird and to sing his song. And the small brown bird has called down to them, "Reach up, reach out, come closer and hear our music." Now, many, many years have passed in the land of make-believe, and many birds joined together with the small brown bird and the eagle, and united in their strength, they stretched their wings many times to fly high and wide in search of knowledge, but also to share their song. The small brown bird became leader of the flock and was sent by them to visit foreign parts. He took with him the song of the eagle, his song, and now their song. And the small brown bird, who used to sit on the lowest branch of the tallest tree in the world, sang loud and clear and touched the hearts of many. The time was right, and in the hearing of the music, a miracle happened. Slowly at first, and shakily, the wings of many birds fluttered, and the music grew louder and sweeter until, at last, the wings of these many birds spread wide. And with hope in their hearts, and with ease, many birds lifted their wings and flew up to sit on the next branch of the tallest tree in the whole world. And as they sang a song, the most melodious song in the whole world, a song of love and of truths of many lands and other worlds. It was God's song. The time was right, and in the hearing of the music, a miracle happened. The land of make-believe became reality, and a new world was born, a world of caring, a world of sharing, a world of love. And the eagle and the small brown bird sang on. So there we go, the song. The eagle, of course, being Grey Eagle, and of course you know the small brown bird would be me, and all of those many birds who come to hear the song of the eagle, of the small brown bird, and we call it God's song. Well, I like to think of those other small brown birds who come to sit and listen uh, as all of you, small brown birds who come to sit, who come to listen, who learn the song. And miracles happen when you share. You share the song and you share the story. You share your beliefs and you share your heart. So for those of you who are celebrating Thanksgiving today and you're sitting having dinner, whether it's by yourself, well, we never by ourselves, are we? We're always with those in the spirit world. When you're sitting and you're sharing and you're talking about your love and your faith and your beliefs, you're singing God's song. And I think that's probably one of the greatest gifts that I could give to you and you can give to your families and to your friends as you sit and you eat your turkey or whatever it is you're going to be eating. And not just for those of you sitting at Thanksgiving doing this, but for those of you who just sitting having dinner with friends or family or just enjoying, take a moment in that moment, take a moment to sing God's song. Okay, Chris, who do we have now? Any comments, any questions, anything going on?
Annika and Maggie said the story was beautiful. Catalina said lovely. Eric said thank you for this beautiful story. It was very moving and a timely message as well. Maggie says you are multi-layers of beautiful.
I think we're all, thank you for that, but I think we're all multi-layers of beautiful.
Betta says, I think of the homeless and pray for earthly angels to help them. And then Mark says, that was lovely. Tracy sending hearts. Caliphonic says, lovely story. Thank you. Lorraine says, beautiful story of hope, love, sharing. Thankful for you and Great Eagle and our Lord Jesus.
Yes, definitely. With all of that. So, all right. So it's Thanksgiving Day. People say to me, what are you doing? My daughter and my grandson are in New York. My daughter makes, it's apparently the most delicious chocolate mousse ever. She loves this recipe. Everybody who has it loves this recipe. She's been making this recipe for this chocolate mousse for years, actually. And the only person that she hasn't made it for is me. I'm not quite sure why. She does an amazing job. So I've given my instructions, definitely. I'm going to get finally, hopefully at Christmas time, she is going to make that chocolate mousse for me because everybody else raves about it and I'm the only one who hasn't tasted it yet. So favorite foods. I mean, I think that people make certain favorite foods. For instance, I always make a Christmas cake at Christmas time. Unfortunately, this year is the oh, I can't believe it. I cannot believe that I didn't do it. But this is the first year for years and years and years, and I can't remember how long ago it's been since I did not make my traditional Christmas cake. And I love my Christmas cake, and I love making my Christmas cake. And it's sort of like this tradition, you know, as you're stirring it, you're making wishes, and you call your family and your friends and you say, I'm stirring. So while I'm stirring, do you want to throw a wish into my Christmas cake or the Christmas pudding? I haven't made a Christmas pudding either this year. So it's going to be, you know, a weird Christmas this year, not having a Christmas cake. But maybe, you know, I mean, I can't stir, you see. I can't really do a lot with this thing because my wrist is completely seized up. So that's my excuse. That's my excuse. but I am finding all these wonderful new gadgets. I actually bought, because I cannot use a can opener. I've got no grip, no nothing going on there. But I found this wonderful little electric gadget. I think it was about $10 or something, and you stick it on the can and it opens the can for you. You press a button, it opens the can. There's no sharp edges. It's great. A friend of mine sent me this very weird gadget, but it actually works, to take jars off of tops off of jars, should I say. Um, I'd like to hear from you. What is that one thing that whenever there's a celebration, or whenever, it might be something you only make at Christmas or you only make at Thanksgiving, what is the one thing that you enjoy making and that you love to make? I know that Chris has this really weird thing that she makes, and it's a German dish. I think it's called
Swedish.
Krockkrucker or something.
Swedish.
It's a Swedish dish, a Krockkrucker or something they call it. Is that right? Did I get it right?
Very close.
Good. Okay. Anyway, so does anybody like, I would make my Christmas cake. I love making my Christmas pudding. It is the easiest thing in the world to make, because you can make it days or even weeks ahead. And then, believe it or not, you can shove it in the microwave, or you can put it in a pan over hot water, and you can either steam it or you can throw it in the microwave. It takes all of 5 minutes in the microwave, and it comes out delicious. It's delicious. So, there are things that I really love to make. I used to love to make eggnog. I don't do that anymore. Now, you can buy eggnog in a bottle. It's not quite the same as making it yourself, but anyway. And what I really love, when I go to New York, I will be making definitely my daddy's hot toddy. Oh, it is the best ever hot toddy. And when you come out of the freezing cold and everybody's shivering and shaking, and you just want to get warm, there are those hot toddies, and they are delicious. In fact, the recipe for the hot toddies is in my cookbook. But anyway, but they're my daddies, and boy, oh boy, did he know how to make a hot toddy.
We have posted the link in the chat for people to find your cookbook.
Okay. Now, when you see that cookbook, you might think, gosh, this is an expensive cookbook. I actually don't make any money on the cookbook, because that's how much it cost me to make it. With all the photos and with all the color and all, oh my goodness me. So I would love to say, you can, let's make it as cheap as we can. But that's how much it cost me to make that cookbook. But I love it. And on the front is a picture of myself, Reese, and Samantha. We're all wearing aprons, and we're all holding up rolling pins. It's lovely. And on the back of the cover is my Christmas cake, which was decorated. Reese is going to be very disappointed this year, because he and I always, and if you want to see us doing it, you'll find it on YouTube. We always decorate our Christmas cake, and he's so funny when he's decorating, because he likes to. I have all these little bits and pieces that we put on the cake, and anyway, so all right. So what do we have here, Chris?
Well, Judy responded saying, Rosemary, I can't stay on any longer, but I have always wanted to tell you something. Okay. Years ago, when I read your book, The Eagle and the Rose, this helped to read that a lot of your experiences as a child and adult, what you had seen and experienced, were the same ones which happened to me. It just helped me to know that I wasn't crazy, and there were others who had these experiences. So thank you so much, and Gray Eagle too.
Well, thank you, Jude. Thank you for joining us, even if it's only for a short time. The show's we've only got another few minutes anyway. So thank you, darling, and happy Thanksgiving to you. Go get in that kitchen. Go on, get cooking.
Vicky says, last Thanksgiving, my son gave me an obvious sign that he was here, I'm hoping for another one today. Happy Thanksgiving.
I think you might get it. You have to pay attention. Remember, look up, reach up, and reach out and hear the music.
Wayne says, I'm so excited to see you again. It's my Christmas gift to myself.
Oh, thank you, Wayne. That's so nice. It's lovely to hear from you too. It's been ages, right? How long has it been? Keep going, Chris.
Yeah, Kay says my favorite foods, favorite foods is a hard choice. There are so many, but my real favorite is roast lamb, and all the trimmings.
Do you know, I think very few people in America uh, make roast lamb. They don't know how good it is. Um, we might have lamb, you might have lamb chops or lamb cutlets, as you would call them, but very few people make a roasted leg of lamb. And I'm with UK. Boy, oh boy, I love it. I absolutely love it. And my rack of lamb, which I make often, uh, yummy, yummy, yummy. Anyway, keep going, Chris.
Mark said it would not be the holidays without my mom's meat stuffing. The meats are ground pork and ground beef, and they're sweetened by using cinnamon, clove, salt, and pepper. It makes my home smell like going to my folks for Thanksgiving. It's a tradition around the holidays for me. I also make French meat pie with similar ingredients.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Wow. I'm not a lover of cinnamon, so I might cut the cinnamon out and just stick with the cloves, the garlic, and maybe a little nutmeg in there. Have you tried nutmeg in there? I'm not a great cinnamon fan, but nutmeg is one of my favorites. Keep going, Chris.
Mora wants to know, why don't I listen to my grandfather or my uncle? And I think it's a non English speaker, maybe means hear. Why don't I
No.
hear from my grandfather or uncle?
All right. So we just gave you that story. Gregel shared his story with you. You have to reach up, you have to reach out, and you have to raise your level of consciousness so that you can hear the music. And the music is, that sound or that connection. Doesn't have to mean music exactly, but the sound of a loved one's voice in the spirit world. So you have to really be quiet, listen, pay attention, center yourself, raise your level of consciousness, and 10 minutes every day is a really good exercise. Put yourself somewhere where you can't be disturbed and just pay attention, listen, reach up and reach out.
Last week, you showed everyone Reese playing the piano. Eric has a comment. Who were the people behind the piano while Reese was playing?
Oh, well, as always, his silly grandpa, my daddy, as always, Grey Eagle, as always, he has a whole host of people around him protecting him, you know, and particularly last week, because it was actually, I've forgotten what you call it here, but anyway, Remembrance Day, 11th of November, right? His silly grandpa was right there with him. And Reese next week, he's going with his school to Washington, and he's been chosen as one of 4 kids to lay the wreath, to lay one of the wreaths in Washington in remembrance of the fallen. Chris, keep going.
Eric's favorite food is pork stew with dumplings.
Okay.
Kay
Right.
saying the shoulder joint. I'm assuming that means that's what she likes the best.
Right. Okay.
Mark's.
Well, she used to be a farmer's wife, so I wouldn't argue with Kay.
Mark says he actually did use nutmeg this time instead of the cinnamon. And Eric also loves wild blackberry pie and jam.
Oh, I used to make, when I was in Vermont, I'd take the dogs and we'd go into the woods and collect the wild blackberries. I would squeeze the juice and then I would put it in the ice. I would make ice cream and put it in the ice cream. Oh, delicious, delicious.
Morrow says, thank you. Vicky says, I believe my interest in angels, the afterlife, and spirits began when I was a young girl, and it was to prepare me for losing a child. Do you agree?
Oh, I definitely do. I definitely do, my darling. Um, just a point though, you didn't lose your child. Um, he's gone from you for a while, but we don't lose our children. That's got to be the hardest thing, I think. The most difficult thing for anyone to go through is to lose a child. So my heart goes out to you. I think, Chris, it's time actually. I think everybody's trying to hustle now. You've either got to get yourselves all dressed up and go out for dinner, or you're sitting boiling over the stove, or you're trying to get stuff ready and all of that stuff. And um, I'm actually going out for Thanksgiving. I have to do nothing, no preparation, no nothing. I'm going out with friends for dinner. So that's my Thanksgiving. So for all of you out there um, who have joined us this morning, I do hope you liked the Eagle's story. I do hope you liked the song. And please, as he says, reach up, reach out, and listen to the music. Thank you again. Thank you to you, Chris. Thank you, of course, to Grey Eagle. Please, everybody, have a very, very blessed rest of today. Have a very blessed weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.